Hey guys, tomorrow we're getting the Scorn of Amon trial on the global server. I figured I'm going to go on the JP server and do a really detailed explanation of the fight. And if you just want to see the example fight, I'll put a timestamp where the fight begins. I'm going to be talking for a lot during the setup as I explain the team and explain the mechanics. If you want to just see a preview of the fight, I'll put a timestamp. You can skip straight forward. But let's go ahead and explain what's going on with Scorn of Amon tomorrow. Because tomorrow, I plan to do a few clears, and when I plan to do multiple clears, I kind of like rush a little bit. I don't really explain every single mechanic in detail. So I'm gonna take this time to explain the fight completely, and then tomorrow we'll go for some. We're gonna attempt some quicker clears. Whether it works or not, we're gonna see. First of all, I will mention that at the current time, Zidane's STMR on Global is still broken. We don't know if it's going to be fixed in the maintenance tomorrow or not. If it is fixed, I've got a Zidane team planned. I'm looking to one-shot the boss with Zidane's STMR and skip the hard phase. Whether that works or not, I don't know. We're going to try it. That's my plan at least. If Zidane's STMR is not fixed during the maintenance, it's still broken, I'm going to have to do a different team. Which will not get all missions and all. But yeah, we're gonna see what happens tomorrow. But for now, let me go ahead and explain the fight on the JP server. So first of all, I'm going to point out I am using two units that Global will not have, which is Avalanche Jessie and Hawkeye. Jessie's role in this fight is going to be Breaker, Provoker, and MP Regen and LB Fill. She can be replaced by basically any Breaker. The LB Fill and all is just going to speed up the fight so the video is not as long. But you can use any Breaker you want in Jessie's place, give them Provoke, Death Immunity, etc. Hawkeye is a DPS I'm using for an example clear. On Global, there's not a whole lot of units that can realistically do it in 8 turns or less. Arden is probably the best choice on Global. Now, I would use him on JP as my example clear. Unfortunately, JP's Arden is dark locked. The global change made him elementally flexible, which makes him great for this trial. But the JP Arden just cannot do the fight. Can't do it. So I can't use Arden. I plan to use Zidane tomorrow, so I don't want to use Zidane in the preview and then use him again tomorrow. So if you want to see a Zidane clear, tune in tomorrow. So I'm going to be using Hawkeye instead. Now, Hawkeye is very powerful. He is going to power creep this fight and do way more damage than Global is going to be available to do. But that's fine. I'm mostly focusing on the mechanics of this fight, not so much, a show-off clear or whatever. So I'm going to be going over all the mechanics. So first of all, Amon, the big thing with Amon is zombie. Your team will be permanently zombied the entire fight. Now, this zombie can technically be cured, but he's going to reapply it immediately every single time he puts up zombie on his turn. So if you want to cure your team, you can bring Lotus Mage Fina. Her cooldown AoE cures zombie and tops the party back to full health. So Lotus Mage Fina's New Vision's Awakening is a good choice for a slow clear if you can't do it quickly and you can't negate all the damage like we're going to be doing. Another option for zombie is to negate all the damage, which is what we're doing, or we're at least heavily mitigating almost all. We might take a little bit of damage here and there, but we're going to almost be negating all the damage. So therefore, not being able to heal the team is not going to be a problem. I will point out Kalmia can single target cure zombie, and while that kind of technically works, I really, really don't recommend that. That's really inefficient with your turns. So you can only cure it one person at a time. And like I said, Amon's going to reapply zombie immediately anyway, so I really wouldn't bring Kalmia here, but it's up to you. Also, try to avoid auto regeneration sources for health. So Katie's STMR, Arden's Hat, Pure Lotus, Pure White Blessing. These are some of the sources of just automatic health regen. You want to avoid all of that, Eurisha's headband, etc. Any kind of auto health regen will cause your unit to take lots of damage per turn, and because you can't heal them, it's going to kill them over time. So avoid all sources of auto regeneration if you can. Also, special mention to the Phoenix Esper, which has an auto regeneration node on the grid, and you probably did learn that, or maybe. Phoenix Esper is the best undead killer Esper, but if you have auto regeneration learned on Phoenix, you might want to avoid that Esper as well. So the boss is an undead, like I mentioned. The boss can only be hurt with 3 or 4 elements: fire, water, wind, and earth. The boss cycles through weaknesses 3 turns at a time. You can never hurt the boss with another element except during his weakness phase. He's got 300% to all resist, and he only imperils himself by 400% on specific turns. So turns 1, 2, and 3 are weak to fire. Turns 4, 5, and 6 are weak to water. 7, 8, and 9 are weak to wind. 10, 11, 12 are weak to earth. And then he repeats the cycle for the rest of the fight. Now, if you're going for an 8-turn clear for the mission, you're never even going to see earth. So all that really matters for you is fire, water, wind. The other mission is 5-man party or less, which is complicated. I'm going to try it on global. But for now, for demonstration purposes, we're going with a 6-man team. The other mission is deal wind damage, which is very easy. That's just part of killing the boss. So there's the zombie mechanic. So the boss will also be doing white magic on your party. There's 3 ways to handle this. One way, well, let me explain the white magic. He's going to be doing single target full life, which will automatically kill a zombie. This can be provoked. He does it up to 3 times a turn. It's random how many times per turn he does it. It can be up to 3 times. He does single target regeneration, which on your turn, if you have not dispelled the regeneration, will deal something like 1 million damage. It's going to instantly kill your unit if you don't dispel it on your turn, if you're still zombied. And then the other thing he does is AoE Curagia. Now, this Curagia is a percentage heal. It heals 5 to 7% of your max health. So it's overall minor damage, but again, he can do this up to 3 times a turn. So over time, it can slowly wear you down because you can't heal your party with zombie, other than Lotus Mage Fina. Also, I should point out, you can use full life on a unit twice to kill them and revive them, and that will top their health off back to full, but it's not really turn efficient, but it is an option. So anyway, the 3 ways to deal with the boss's white magic that he's doing are, the one way is to just ignore it, which means the boss just does what he wants. He's going to be casting a regen. It'll be killing units. He'll be doing full life. It'll be killing units. He'll be doing Curagia. It'll be dealing damage to your party. You just deal with the consequences. So that means you'll be raising the units that die. You'll be topping off your party with something like Fina for the damage you're taking. This is the worst way to deal with it. But if you can't do the other 2 ways, well, you do what you can. I wouldn't recommend ignoring the white magic, but that is an option. Another way is Reflect. You can triple stack Reflect on your Provoker, and that'll bounce back all of the full lives and all of the regenerations to the boss. Full life will do nothing to the boss. The regeneration on the boss will heal him. Healing the boss for millions of damage is not as big a deal as healing you for millions of damage because you're dealing he's got 3 billion HP, so healing him for like 5 million is not that big a deal. You can mostly ignore the regeneration. On the other hand, reflecting the Curagia, because it's percentage based, it'll be healing the boss. If he does it, like for example, 3 times in a turn, it can potentially be healing the boss for up to 21% per turn on worst case scenario. So using reflection means you need to have extremely high damage dealers to out damage the healing. Hawkeye can do it. Zidane can probably do it with an OTK or like a 2-turn burst strategy. I don't know if Arden can do it in the turn limit on global, maybe. But anyway, regeneration is like a double-edged sword. It protects your units, but it also heals the boss for a lot. Or reflection, I should say. The third option, and in my opinion, the best option, is Nethicite. The boss does up to 3 white magic spells per turn. Dethroned Heroine Ash can do 3 stack of Nethicite. So she can completely shut down all the boss's white magic by herself. Another option is to give the Nethicite source to 3 units in your party, like Kryla, Ace, and then the manufactured Nethicite materia, and use 3 of them per turn. That's really not recommended because using three of your party members every single turn of the Nethicite is terribly inefficient. But Dethroned Heroine Ash, and only her, can do 3 stacks by herself. That's the strategy we're going to demonstrate in this example video. So that's the white magic thing. Now, the boss has 2 thresholds. On 75%, the boss is going to do a single target death. This is a magical spell, single target. He does that at the end of the round. So if the boss does 3 white magic spells earlier in the round and you've Nethicited all 3, or he does 3 right and you reflected all 3, the 4th cast will get through. This death can also be reflected, can be nethercited, or can be just immune. We're going to just gear our Provoker with Death Immunity, and that handles that no problem. It makes it very easy. You could also do things like 4 stack of Nethercite on the Threshold, or something like the Reflect Ring for permanent Reflect. But Death Immunity is the simplest way to handle that. He only does that once in the fight on the 75% threshold. The other threshold is 50%. On that threshold, the boss is going to do an AoE Dispel and an AoE Petrify. So you want your whole party immune to Petrify, but for the Dispel, the actions he's going to do on that turn, he's going to do his regular turn first. So he's going to do all his white magic, all his regular magic, which we're going to cover in a minute. Then he's going to do his Threshold, and then he's going to do Meteor after the Threshold. So your tank will be dispelled. They'll have no buff except for auto buffing. Now cover will still work because cover would have activated earlier in the turn, and once cover is active on a turn, it never goes away, cannot even be dispelled. So your tank will still cover Meteor, but they're going to have no buffs whatsoever except for undispellable auto buffing. So I really recommend you give your tank, at the very least, Auto Shell. If you have it, give them Saintly Castle for permanent general mitigation. There you go. And that's going to be the only 2 thresholds in the fight. Now, the regular magic the boss does is Fire, Water, Wind, and Earth. We're going to be covering that with a magical cover tank. The boss does 100% Imperil as well. So we've got 200% Fire, Water, Wind, and Earth resist on our Beatrix for covering. Now, Beatrix is a really good choice here for magical tanking because she can do a 5,000 barrier on herself at every turn. So while you can't heal, you can use barriers to absorb damage, which is a very, very powerful option for the Amon trial. So the reason we're going to be needing that is because after 50%, the boss starts doing Meteor and Ultima. That's non-elemental, and your tank will start taking damage. So Beatrix, great choice. You can also use things like, Phasey or, Melia. Use your favorite magical tank. Overall, if you keep the boss broken, the damage is not super high. So if you've got good mitigation and good resistances, you're going to be fine on the damage taken. So the last mechanic I should be mentioning is the phase changes. I already mentioned that. You can only hurt the boss with fire on... Yeah, I mentioned that already. So when the boss phase changes to... what's it called? Each time he changes element phases, he's going to do a 5-stack Mirage and 5-stack Reflect. These cannot be dispelled. The only way to remove this Mirage or Reflect is to burn through it with physical attacks for the Mirage or magical attacks with the Reflect. We're not using mages. We don't really care about the Reflect, but we're going to be using a Barrage and dual wield unit to get rid of the Mirage. I know Barrage gets rid of Mirage. It rhymes. Anyway, so now that I've explained all the mechanics, we're going to go ahead and show an example clear, and I'll explain them as we go during the fight. So like I already mentioned, we're going to be using Beatrix. Base form has Auto Gen Mit from Saintly Castle, Auto Protect from Shell, and then shift form, I showed you she's got the resistances and lots of bulk. She's going to be doing her barrier pretty much every turn to keep herself nice and healthy. Now she has no health regen at all, and we're not provoking with her. We're going to use Dethroned Ash to Nethicite every turn. Now her Nethicite, it's 3 stack, but it's also, if you look at the top of the screen, it's 529 mana per cast. It's very, very expensive. So you need to either give her 500 or more mana regen per turn, or give her mana reduction, or both. I've gone for both. So we've given her 80% mana reduction, so that reduces the cost of her Nethicite to only 106, and I gave her a ton of mana regen. Ignore the Genji shield. That's for an ult. I changed my strategy. We're not using her to provoke. She don't need that. So mana regen and mana reduction, and she's going to Nethicite every turn. That's her entire duty. Oh, one more thing I should mention is the boss will be breaking your magic and attack power stats every second turn. I don't really mention breaks too often because they're just kind of minor, but the boss will be breaking your stats. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, so then Jessie. Jessie is going to be our provoker. Now we gave her a death immunity for the threshold, so she can be immune to the threshold. She's provoking. The boss does no physical attacks whatsoever. You don't need evasion. I mean, we gave her dual wield and 2 weapons, so she can get rid of those Mirage stacks. She's also going to be our breaker and trust, as well as some LB and mana fill for the party. That's all she's going to be doing. Hawkeye is going to be a DPS. That's really all he's here for. He's just contributing DPS, nothing else. So there's his gear. Here's his DPS form. He's got maxed everything. He's a really good choice for the fight, but he's just going to be a DPS. And Barch is going to be a support chainer, and that's pretty much it. And I'm not sure if I mentioned, the boss during the ambush puts up regeneration on your Provoker as well. That's before we have a chance to Netherite to stop it. So we're going to use Barch to Rage Beast Roar to dispel the ambush of Nethicite. Other than that, he's not really geared for down. I mean, technically he is, but not really. He's going to be support chaining with Hawkeye every single turn when Hawkeye damages. Now for the elements, we're using a friend Elric to imbue fire, water, or earth, and then Barch will be imbuing wind. So that's going to be the party we're going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead and pause for a second in case I make a mistake during the video. I have to do this whole explanation again. Otherwise, let's get started with the fight. Alright, let's go. Maybe I'll do it first try with no mistakes. No take twos. Okay, so here comes the ambush. The boss is going to put up Zombie and then regeneration on your Provoker. So here's the regeneration. The boss, if you don't dispel this when I end my turn because of Zombie, it's going to deal like 5 million healing. It's going to kill her super dead. So we're going to use Barch to Rage Beast Roar to get rid of that regeneration. Done. Okay, now we're going to use... so the boss is weak to fire for 3 turns. Now ignore the breaks. Jesse auto breaks on the ambush. That's not super relevant. But we're going to use Jesse to break the boss, and then just fill some LB gauge. All right, we're going to use Elric to imbue the team with fire, and now we'll just use Hawkeye to start filling his LB gauge. We use a better break with Hawkeye just for now to cool down. All right, we're going to use Beatrix to shift and cover and barrier. We actually don't even need barrier yet because we're going to be taking 0 damage because of the Nethicite from Ash right here. We're going to absorb all 3 of the boss's white magics, and then we're going to immune the magical elemental effects with Beatrix. So we're going to be taking 0 damage, literally, until the boss goes below 50%. We're negating everything. Alright, so there is the zombie, there's the white magic that we're Nethiciting, here is the elemental magic we're immuning and covering. There we go. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and start dealing a little bit of damage. We're going to just LB with Hawkeye and support chain with Bart. The fight just continues this way for the next few turns. Hawkeye is a stacking LB like Zidane, who's going to power up as he goes deeper and deeper. We'll go ahead and trust to Hawkeye with Jesse. We'll just re-imbue whatever, and we'll just cover whatever. We'll just repeat. So the boss, again, is going to do nothing except some white magic that is Nethicited, and there's more white magic. He's repeating himself. It's random what elements, what spells he uses per turn. It's just RNG that he did the same spells twice. Anyway, let's go ahead and deal some damage again. So 75% is the first threshold. We actually just pushed that. Okay, so again, Hawkeye is very, very powerful here. You probably won't push the threshold this quickly in your global clear unless you're using like Arden. He may, I don't know, maybe. But in any case, this is going to be the threshold. So we're going to be using, what's it called? We're going to use, actually, really nothing changes for the most part with the threshold. So we're just going to, we're just going to keep filling LB gauge with Jesse. And, yeah, we can just guard you, cover you. And so the boss is going to do death. So we're immune to it, though. So here comes the normal turn. So zombie. Why is it? That was weird. Okay, zombie, white magic, more white magic. There's the death, and we immuned it. So we're good. So it was a phase change. Remember how I said phase change, the boss does Mirage? Look how he's like this little after image on the boss. Now he's got 3 stacks of Mirage. So we're going to be using Jesse to barrage that Mirage away. Also, his element changed. He's now weak to water instead of fire. So we're going to use Elric, who is a really good choice here. We're going to use we're gonna element swap, but I kind of want to get Hawkeye's LB again. So we're gonna shift Hawkeye, and then we're gonna use Elric to imbue water and then just hit the boss twice. Try to get some drops. Wait for the Mirage to finish. Okay, Mirage is gone. Let's go ahead and change elements, and then try to get some drops on Hawkeye. We did. Alright, let's go back to my Hawkeye in the base form is geared for 1,000 fill rate. Let's go ahead and just LB again. We'll just keep dealing damage. We've changed our imbue to water. Elric removes the old imbue and replaces it with a new imbue. Like, you know, Elric and Hawkeye were really designed to kill this fight. So anyway, so we're going to go ahead and just LB again and keep dealing damage. We might even potentially push the next threshold. If so, I'll explain it when we get there. Now we didn't. Okay, that's fine. Not a problem. Alright, so we're going to just continue. We're just going to net the site and cover again. So no real changes. The boss doesn't change his AI until below 50. So there's some white magic. I saw he did full life, but we net the sited. We immuned that magic. We're going to go ahead and break the boss again and then just fill LB gauge. I don't think we're going to fill LB gauge all the way on Hawkeye. We did. So let's just keep dealing damage, you know, for the sake of it. Damage again, why not? Okay, so this is the threshold that is really dangerous. The boss is going, like I said, he's going to do his regular turn, and we can just repeat you. Yeah, whatever. So the boss is going to do his regular turns. He's going to do all his white magic. Yeah, you got to net the side. He's going to do his elemental attacks. Then he's going to AoE Dispel and Petrify. Then he's going to do Meteor. So, not really much to do here. Technically, I could guard... I'm going to guard Beatrix for the reduced damage taken, because you can't dispel guard's mitigation. So we're going to guard Beatrix for less damage taken. I think she's going to be totally fine, completely honest. She's very bulky. The boss is broken. The boss only has an 80% magic break, which is a little bit low. So here's the Dispel, and here's the Meteor. So we're going to take a little bit of damage here. I mean, as long as the boss is broken... You're fine. You're fine. And Beatrix is crazy bulky. Okay. It seems like the boss is really, really non-threatening. I promise you, if you don't come prepared, he is dangerous. But we came very, very prepared. So we're fine. So we're going to go ahead and entrust to Hawkeye. What is we got AoE dispelled, so we lost our imbue. So we're going to use Elric to re-imbue the party again. So we'll just go ahead and deal some damage again. Okay. We'll net the site, and we'll put Beatrix back up with cover and barrier. So now the boss is going to do Meteor every single turn. So the boss, the Meteor is going to deal minor damage, especially because we've now got buffs on Beatrix again. So my game crashed. Why did my game crash? I will reload that. Be right back. All right, guys. Technical difficulties. I don't know why that happened. That was unusual. Okay. So anyway, so here's the boss's turn. Yeah, we're resuming right where we left off. I don't know why it crashed, but it did. So now Beatrix has her mitigation again. She's taking like super minor damage. The damage, like I said, the damage you take in this fight is pretty low if you handle the white magic properly. So we're gonna use it's turn 7. The boss just changed element. Okay, so turn 7 is wind. All right, so we're gonna use Jesse to barrage that away. Unfortunately, the Elrics cannot imbue wind, so we're gonna use Bart's to Rage Beast on Hawkeye and dispel both of their water imbues, because we have no other way to really get rid of that. Let's see. Hawkeye can just shift and just fill LB gauge. Let's see. Ash will net the site. Beatrix will cover and mitigate. We actually already have... Let's go ahead and use Beatrix. Oh, we already did net the site. Oof, can't. I was going to use her green magic, but we already net... We'll do it next turn. And then we can just guard you for the next few turns. We can't really do anything about you. Okay. So there is white magic again. Now, once the boss goes below 25%, he's going to start doing Ultima as well. Ultima is slightly more powerful, but, I mean, we're taking single-digit damages, literally. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we need to like wind is a bad element for this team. We don't really have a good way to imbue wind, other than Bart's. So we're gonna use oh, I'm in the shift form. What am I doing? Was I in the shift form the entire time? I was. Wow. So we're gonna imbue wind just for some people, and then just whatever. That's why he's running out of mana. Alright, so we imbued wind, so we can't really do anything with Hawkeye. We have no chain partner. So we'll just break and just whatever. We'll use Beatrix to put up her Shelga, and then a barrier. We'll use Jesse to break the boss, and then just whatever. Guard you, and then net the site. Okay. Oh, Bart's is regenerating in the base form. What is he regenerating from? Why is he regenerating? Seriously? I gave him regeneration in the base form. Okay, I'll put him back in the shift form. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, here's the meteor. Alright, so now we're imbued with wind, finally, so we can actually deal damage again. It's turn 9, the boss is going to change. Oh, I can't even shift back. Oh, seriously? Mistakes were made. It's fine. We're gonna win before Barch dies from regeneration. So anyway, so this is the last turn of wind damage. We'll go ahead and get some wind damage in right here. Okay, so now that the boss is below 25%, he's going to start doing Ultima every single turn in addition to Meteor. We're going to be changing to Earth damage next turn. Maybe we'll go ahead and do it now. It doesn't really hurt. It doesn't really matter. Let's entrust to Hawkeye. And then these two can just, let's see, Meteor, or Barrier and all. And then net the site. So Ash really trivializes this fight. And if I was using 2 Hawkeyes, I would have won in like 4 turns instead of Bart's as the chainer. Alright, so there's Meteor, there is Ultima. Again, Beatrix takes like no damage here. She's fine. She's fine. Okay, and then that's pretty much the fight, so we win right here. I'm gonna just reload this up. We already imbued Earth last time. Oh, Mirage. The boss changed phase, so it's Mirage. Get rid of that. And then, like I said, we'll just swap. Oh, that's water. We'll swap to Earth Element. There we go. And then we'll just go ahead and chain this up. And there you go. There is the Amon trial. So, white magic, or Nephesite for the white magic, magic resistant magic tank to cover, or you can actually skip the magical tank if you have a bulky team. As you see, the boss's damage is really, really low. So, yeah, and Hawkeye kind of carried that one. So there is a preview for the Amon trial. Overall, not bad if you bring a proper team. It only really gets complicated if you can't deal with the white magic. So if you don't have Ash, then it gets a lot trickier, especially if you were bouncing back healing onto the boss with Reflect, which is the secondary option, and then the worst option is just doing nothing and allowing your tanks to die every turn. But if you have Ash, it's really not bad to handle. Okay, there it is. I will see you guys next time.